Both fighting and acting weren't in my plan. Like it wasn't like I was like a kid and I wanted to be this and I want to be an actor, I want to be a fighter. I wanted to be a paleontologist, to be honest with you. I don't know why. Oh, I think I saw Jurassic Park, the first one, and I was like obsessed. But
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jermaine Jackson, sports producer here at Daybreak Star Radio, the only station indigenizing the airwaves. And today, I have the wonderful pleasure of speaking with a star both in and out of the boxing ring, the multi-talented athlete, Kali KO Reis. She's a two-weight world champion. She won the WBO light welterweight world title in 2021, and she's the first Native American woman to be nominated for an Emmy. And she's also been nominated for a Golden Globe Award. We are excited to continue getting an inside look at her journey. Kaylee, welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. How are you doing today?
yes, absolutely. So cha, hey, unikisa, greetings, my friends. Wami Nutonkasak, all my relations. Natasuis Mikoninog, Nutamas Ikongen Wapanaak, Nutamas Nipmunk, Nutamas Cape Verdean, from Providence, Rhode Island, which means greetings everyone, all my relations. My given name is Many Feathers, Many Talents, and I'm from the Seekonk people, Seekonk tribe from the Wampanoag Nation, people of the first light. And I have Cherokee and Nipmuc ancestry, as well as being Cape Verdean. I'm just a mixed bag of all indigenousness and just all history. I'm from Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, and I currently actually live in Philadelphia.
When did you first discover your love for boxing?
Wow, I didn't even really know much about boxing. It wasn't like somebody in my family boxed or anything. I come from I'm the youngest of five kids. I'm
Mhm.
kind of a split family where my father had four kids, my mom had us two, so I'm the one in the middle, kind of connecting everybody. We grew up in, you know, not great circumstances, but not terrible. My parents got divorced when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and being the youngest and kind of having that split family was like, didn't really know where to fit in as far as being indigenous or being native, especially from the East Coast. That's a whole nother podcast. From the East Coast, from the first contact tribes, and being mixed, and not growing up on a reservation or growing up in the ways as far as what people think happens everywhere. From when you have first contact tribes and from that area, that region, there's a lot of reestablishing, reconnecting, breaking out of trauma, meaning, especially from my specific line, my great grandmother, grandmother, and mom, well, great grandmother and grandmother weren't even able to say who they were as Seekonk Wampanoag people. We were almost completely erased and wiped out. So just having to grow up as like basically a first generation woman of my line to into the culture, as well as being mixed with so many other things. It was an interesting time growing up. I wouldn't change anything for the world, but now that I understand it, it's exactly where I come from as an indigenous woman. Our direct line, I come from the Osamiquan's war chief, Anawan. That's where my line comes from the Seekonk people. And it makes a lot of sense because he fought for his people. He Autash, which means stand strong. And that was a phrase he used to say to our people. So once I started really, really understanding exactly where I come from, the whole boxing thing and how it kind of found me really makes a lot of sense. I didn't start boxing until around 14 years old, seriously. There wasn't really, Rhode Island is not quote unquote known for boxing. It's not like Philly or New York, or you go to Cali, or like, you go to Detroit. There's boxing, but it wasn't prevalent as these places. So I did get wind of a friend of my mom's. His name is Domingo Monroe. He's from the Narragansett tribe. He's a wampum jewelry maker. And I got wind that he used to box. So I used to bother him at powwows at his jewelry stand, like, hey man, teach me how to box. But he kind of blew me off a couple of times until my mom and I convinced him to come over the house, hang up a bag, and he showed me a few things, and I was hooked from there. And when my father actually came back up from Florida, he knew a couple of his family members that were boxing, and I went to Peter Manfredo's gym when I was a young teen, and from there it just kind of snowballed. I didn't have aspirations of being a multi-world champion. Of course, I wanted to win, but the place when I went to the gym, it was the fact that that was the only thing I was thinking about when I was doing whatever it be, hitting the bag, jump rope, shadow boxing. I wasn't thinking about all the other things, all the where do I belong? Why did my father leave? What's going on in the world? Where do I belong? What's up with how I feel about this, all those things were out of my head. And I was just thinking of that one thing. So I took that just like an art form and I wanted to kind of learn how to master it or how to get the best out of myself and do my best with it because it just gave me a sense of purpose.
What led you to want to act?
Both fighting and acting weren't in my plan. Like it wasn't like I was like a kid and I wanted to be this and I want to be an actor, I want to be a fighter. I wanted to be a paleontologist, to be honest with you. I don't know why. Oh, I think I saw Jurassic Park, the first one, and I was like obsessed. But acting got again, I come from a very artistic family. You know, my grandmother was in a drama group called the Scatomet group. It's dramatic spelled backwards. So they used to do a lot of theater, a lot of performing. My mom used to, she was religious too. That's a whole nother podcast of being a kid that's mixed in native and religious. But she used to have me in like little church plays. And I used to always do like I was always very expressive, always creative. So that little seed now that I look back was always planted, but I didn't have like these, I'm gonna go to Juilliard and I'm gonna study acting. And it wasn't like that. But fast forward through my pro career, around 2014, 15, 16, after I came back after my accident and started winning titles in the middleweight division and started making a name for myself and also kind of finding my position in what I'm supposed to be doing for so much that I represent, where I have a stage. So let me start speaking on different things and bringing awareness to different things that I know our community needs to be kind of amplified with, that we know things about, but isn't in the mainstream media, such as missing and murdered Indigenous women, our pipelines, our land, our treaties being broken, et cetera, et cetera. But especially missing and murdered Indigenous women, because it just baffles me that, we know, but the mainstream media doesn't get put out there. So I just started bringing awareness to that and finding a purpose as far as we have medicine, whatever your medicine is, whatever we get gifted with, mine just happens to be fighting and have a passion for fighting for physically or whatever it needs to be, and sticking up and just doing my due diligence for my people. So that's where the phrase "fight for all nations" came from. I was sitting with, I call her my warrior sister. She's from the Shinnecock tribe out here, and she was kind of helping me with some PR stuff, and she kind of was like, what do you fight for? And that's just a loaded question. I'm like, you know why I fight. I fight for us. I fight for everybody, not just my tribe or my area. So that's kind of where, and we usually fight for all nations, and that's kind of where that passion, where that purpose came from. So it became bigger than me. And in that voyage and in that kind of journey, the director writer from the first film I did, he was into boxing, but he was also obviously in the film industry, had made a couple of feature films, TV director, and he, just like most of people around, didn't know anything about missing and murdered Indigenous women. And he's kind of got into a wormhole. And he was like, this is an important story to tell. It's not mine, but it's an important story to tell. So with seeing where I was with bringing awareness, he ran across my profile and reached out to me through Instagram and was kind of basically like, hey, did you ever think about boxing? I mean, think about acting. I'm this director, blah, blah, blah. And, first and foremost, I'm like, well, who is this weirdo sliding in my DMs talking about acting? You know what I mean? But he checked out and he really just got to know me. And before that, kind of in that time, we lost one of my brothers to brain cancer. And boxing was like our thing. Like when he was in remission, he had to get his motor skills back. I trained him. We watched every fight together. We talked about it. We went to the gym together. So when boxing was supposed to be my outlet during that time, it wasn't. I couldn't even go to the gym without picturing him there at ring by the ring talking shit, while I'm shadow boxing. So I just started exploring and trying to, go through my grieving process. And for whatever reason, acting was kind of like on my heart before that too. But I didn't know where to start. Like everybody else, like, what do I do? Get like a cameo in a commercial or something? I don't know. But it was on my heart and I didn't know why. And I was like, you know what, universe, if it's meant for me, it'll find me. And I don't know. I don't know what to do with this thought. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Kind of let it go. And it was about a week later that I got that DM.
You said you kind of used your background and your history to, help you in the role. So I'm just wondering, how did you get, so good, like real fast?
So it's so crazy how like parallel boxing, my boxing journey is to my acting journey. Because with boxing, I call him Pop, but my first in coach and like mentor back in Rhode Island, he saw something in me that I didn't see. And I'm just like, we have that thing as Indigenous people or people of color, like we're just not good enough. Sorry for existing, sorry for being here. And it's almost like we're scared to succeed sometimes because we feel like we don't deserve it. You know what I mean? So I had that kind of mentality when I was really young, but he saw something in me. He took a chance on me. And when people take chances on me or they trust me or see something in me, I don't want to disappoint. So I'll work extra hard. He saw something in me and I trusted him. I wasn't a fantastic boxer when I first started. I just did the work. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, let me just learn everything and do the work with acting. I didn't know I had this thing. Joseph again, Kubota Vladica, the director and writer for the first movie, Catch the Fair One, when he talked to me, the reason why he wanted to pursue this whole journey with me is because he saw something. He's like, "You got it." I'm like, I don't know if you're BSing me or I don't know what I got. This is not like I didn't go to school, I didn't study acting. I'm just real, and I just like to observe people in life and kind of just live it to its fullest, which I kind of just applied to acting.
So, what does it mean to be the first Native American woman to be nominated for an Emmy?
The fact that, first we have Lily Gladstone breaking down these barriers and putting, this has been such a great time for Indigenous Native people. But she with the Golden Globes, you know what I mean, and the Oscars, just kind of putting that and launching us into like we've been here, but launching us. And I say us, but there's so many shades of us. Like Lily is for who she is. I am who I am, and we're all who we are. But in a whole, like we are all Indigenous people. There's Indigenous people already around the world. So it means a lot to me, especially for that. I say all that to say people can see that there's so many different levels, there's so many different shades, there's so many different mixtures and so many different ways to view Indigenous people. It's not one dynamic way. So I was like, oh, that's great. Not for just me, of course, individually, that was cool. But I always look at the whole, like, wow, from boxing, when I used to get in boxes from kids that look like me, that didn't get to see themselves, that look like me, that see me fighting on HBO, and now they see me acting on HBO. Like it's just that's what clicked in my head. Like, wow, for all these people, these kids, these young people, even the older folks, like they're gonna say, well, wow, that's a position I have never seen myself in another person. You know what I mean? So that means so much. And just like Willie said, holding the door open, for people who, or even kids who may have that Hollywood dream, they want to be an actor, they want to work hard, they know it's possible. They know that they can get there and they can get beyond. Like I want y'all to do more than I did. You know what I'm saying? When I leave here. So it means the world. And then, getting nominated for Golden Globes and then Critics' Choice, and then the list goes on. And I just got here. It's also terrifying. I'm like, wait, what? I did what? So it's like it is like we're in the title. People think it's like, oh yeah, you good, you get to lay back. Now I set the bar high too. So but that's first and foremost, just to be able to say, yeah, we can do it. We here and we just getting started. So,
Let's go back to boxing. What would you say was some of your biggest strengths?
I'm what you call a late round starter. A late round starter means I just get better with the rounds. The more rounds go by, I get stronger, I get more smarter, faster. I get more hungry. I want it more. Like, so I start a little later because I'm trying to wait. So I think, if you go back to that Cecilia Brækhus fight I had on HBO, you can hear a coach say she's getting stronger. Run. Like she's getting like run because she's getting stronger. I think that was one of my greatest that is not was because I ain't retired yet.
So, what are some of the values or lessons that you've learned throughout your career, your boxing career, that you still take in today and that still guide you today?
It's good to have team sports, team building, learn how to work with others. But when you have the sole responsibility where if you don't do something, it's on you. So self accountability and not being able to blame everybody else is something I carried and I learned early on in my boxing. It was like if I don't do the road work and I'm tired, it's not nobody else's fault. I was supposed to run and I didn't run. It's a hard pill for us human beings to swallow, but something I apply here.
So finally, what would you say to like this a young native girl that's listening to you and that she wants to act, but she's on the res or she's in the village and she can't see, how to get there, or she can't see a future like immediately right now. So what advice would you give to that little native girl that's listening right now?
You have dreams and you have aspirations and goals. That's all you need. How you're gonna get there is honestly none of your business. The creator and the universe, whatever you want to believe in, has gonna put things in your path or take things out of your path. in order to get you there. Just keep your eye on what you really want and make sure it's what you really want, not what you think you should want or what your parents want you to want or what your friends or what this or what that, and know why you want to. Why do you want to do something? Sometimes, you know, you have a goal of wanting to be a millionaire, but why? And when you broke all the time, well, why do you want to be a millionaire? Is it just to buy a bunch of cars and chains, which isn't bad, but maybe that's not what you need. You know, really kind of do your due diligence to yourself and have a goal. It's beautiful. You can be, no matter where you are, village, on the res, you're in a bad situation, just have this goal and also know everything is temporary. Happiness, sadness, depression, excitement, being rich, being poor, every single thing, being a kid, being a teenager, being an adult, everything is temporary. Everything keeps ebbing and flowing. So just keep that goal. You got it, and how you gonna get there is none of your business. Just have that goal and that dream. Keep it there.
You can do it. Whatever, whether you're from the res or not, because I've seen, like, I didn't grow up on the reservation, but I have seen people who have, and they've been wildly successful. And I feel like there's like this stigma around that, like, people can't do this and people can't do that in our communities. And